Welcome to this month's coaching call. Just this last week, I heard a saying on a podcast that just made so much sense in terms of how powerful the saying was. And the saying is very simple, but the consequences of what was said are just so significant. And that saying was comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy. When we compare ourselves to others who maybe aren't afraid of public speaking, or maybe who are able to get on stage as a musician and not have the anxiety that can be so crippling, we compare ourselves. Or maybe we compare ourselves with a thought that says, I'm not enough. Or maybe I've always been like this. Maybe I'll never be any different. Or I can never be like him. I can never be like Dr. Lazaros. He speaks all the time and he's not afraid, which obviously I've said many, many times in these coaching calls and in my programs that is far from the truth. But we compare ourselves. And when we compare ourselves to others, it's like a thief that takes away our joy. It takes away our hope. It takes away any real chance of doing things differently or learning new ways to get over our anxieties or new ways to present ourselves in a way that is with less and less fear so we can become more and more effective. So comparing is such a destructive thing that we tend to tolerate. We tolerate that, we hear it, but we somehow make it kind of sound like that was a wise thought. And it is smart to compare, and it is smart to have to put ourselves out there. And again, like that saying says, it robs us of potential, it robs us of hope, it robs us of really what we're capable of, it robs us of our potential. So when we talk about things that we tolerate, I often talk about we can tolerate people in our lives, we can tolerate excuses. But right now, I'm sharing what we tolerate is a thought. And the thought has to do with comparing ourselves in a way that we always come up short. And that makes us either not want to try to do it differently, it makes us discouraged. Like I said earlier, it just robs us of hope, and it always robs us of joy. So I'd like you, as a result of this short coaching call, to start thinking about what it is that you're tolerating in your thinking. Not just what you're tolerating in terms of who you put up with or situations that you avoid, but let's just look for a moment at the thoughts that we tolerate, the thoughts that we put up with. And let's listen to see if they have anything to do with a comparison. I know when I was first starting out in public speaking, and I was really terrified to get in front of a group, large or small. I would always compare myself even to the person that introduced me. They just would introduce me so eloquently, and they just seemed calm. They weren't anxious. And I thought, oh, I wish I could be like the guy introducing me. And it really had to do almost with a sense of imposter syndrome. Like, boy, I hope I can get up there and fake everybody out and have them see I'm not nervous and see how capable I am. Even though internally I knew I was. I knew I had something to offer the audience. But something about comparing myself to those that were further along in their speaking journey, or maybe just didn't have a problem with getting in front of somebody and performing or speaking or going to a social event where they walked into an event or a networking event and they just didn't even think to be afraid. They just went in there and they were themselves. I would compare myself to those people. And I know you probably do a lot of comparison also. And again, like I said, besides the fact that it doesn't allow you to grow and learn better ways to present yourself, it robs you even of the motivation to do that. So start thinking about, what are the thoughts that I'm putting up with? What thoughts am I telling myself that is getting in the way of me achieving my goals? Whatever those goals are, it could be a performance situation, a speaking situation, it could be a social situation, a networking event, that by having these negative, critical, comparing yourself to other type of thoughts, get in the way of you being able to say, I really want to start doing this differently. So become aware of the thoughts that have to do with comparing. Listen to yourself as you sort of have been putting up with those thoughts and somehow rationalizing and making those thoughts make sense. Like, that's a smart thing to do because who do I think I am? And I've never been comfortable speaking. So why now? Why do I think Dr. Nick's right? Maybe I'm really wasting my time. So, what are you putting up in terms of your thoughts? And I do talk about, when I talk about tolerations, I talk about these negative thoughts being like an anchor that weigh you down. They don't free you up. They don't allow you to move forward and try new things and practice the principles and skills, for example, that I present to you in the academy. When we start practicing those, that voice comes up and says, yeah, but who do you think you are? And you're never going to be like so and so. And we compare, and we allow that comparison to rob ourselves of hope. And it's a thief of joy. So this month, maybe the theme for you is going to be to become aware of any kind of thought that you tolerate that is connected to comparing yourself to either someone, literally somebody else, or somebody that you think you should be. Maybe I should be something more than I am, rather than this is who I am, and maybe I'm terrified. So what? I'm going to work on it. I'm going to grow. I'm going to change. I'm going to apply principles and skills and have that be a thing of my past as I start to do it differently. And I'm not going to compare in a way that says I can't do this. I might look back and say that's not who I want to be anymore. And I have a commitment, and I'm going to motivate myself to move forward and do it differently. So don't let comparing yourself, this thought of comparing yourself that you are actually generating yourself, don't let that be a thief of you moving forward with overcoming your fears and your anxiety. Make a commitment today to say, I no longer am going to tolerate that. Not on a one-time basis, because nobody just stops tolerating something one time. We do that over and over as we learn better ways, as we apply new skills, so we can start to do it differently. We can start to present ourselves with a little bit less fear, a little bit less anxiety, because I'm no longer going to tolerate this lie that I'm not enough, this lie that I'm an imposter, this lie that I need to compare myself to somebody or to anybody other than who I am. So I encourage you to make a commitment to listen for that thought, tell it to be quiet in any way you need to, and let yourself have the grace and permission to say, I'm going to begin to move forward and do it differently. Thank you so much for listening to this coaching call. And as always, if you have any thoughts or questions, email me, let me know, because I'd love to help you get over the hump, the obstacle that this kind of comparison can make as you try to grow as a performer, as a speaker, or in life in general.